In a world where Africa is often seen as a follower, Burkina Faso is breaking the script. Because in 2025, it's not the elders, it's not the billionaires, it's the youth leading a tech revolution. No foreign consultants, no outside instruction. Just young Burkinabe minds, building, coding, inventing. From the streets of Ouagadougou to the edge of the Sahel, young developers are launching startups, apps, and platforms that rival anything coming out of Silicon Valley. And at the center of this movement, one message: we build for us. Under President Ibrahim Traore's leadership, a national initiative has exploded. Free coding academies in every province, startup grants for students under 25, and public access to open-source tools, cloud servers, and microfinance. The goal? Not just to learn tech, but to own it. Because Traore understands, you can't decolonize your country if your data still belongs to someone else. And the youth have heard the call. They're building payment apps for rural farmers with no banks, e-learning platforms in local languages, AI tools that diagnose crops and cattle diseases, even drone networks to monitor deforestation and deliver medicine. All made in Burkina Faso, all led by people under 30. This is not about copying the West. It's about creating an African model for the digital age. And it's working. Tech incubators are filling faster than they can be built. Girls are enrolling in STEM at record numbers. Hackathons are being held in villages, not just cities. Because innovation is no longer exclusive, it's everywhere. And the world is beginning to notice. Investors from Asia, Latin America, even parts of Europe are flying in, not to teach, but to learn. Because what Burkina Faso is building isn't just apps, it's independence, digital independence, financial independence, educational independence. This is not about waiting for opportunity, it's about creating it. And the most powerful part? These young creators aren't doing it for fame. They're doing it because they've seen the alternative. They've seen corruption eat budgets, sanctions kill progress, foreign aid come with strings. So now, they build without permission. They write their own code. They tell their own stories. They imagine their own systems. And in doing so, they're proving one thing to the world. Burkina Faso is not behind. It's ahead because its youth are in front. And this revolution? It isn't happening in luxury towers or glass offices. It's happening in open-air co-working spaces, on solar-powered laptops, under the shade of mango trees, powered by Wi-Fi networks the youth built themselves. They've created their own Burkina Cloud, a national server system that stores local data within the country, away from foreign surveillance and cyber dependency. In schools, 12-year-olds are now learning Python before French. And villages that once had no running water now have AI-driven irrigation systems, thanks to apps designed by local teenagers. This isn't a fantasy. It's daily reality in Traore's Burkina Faso. And the president? He doesn't just support from afar. He visits coding camps, shakes hands with 16-year-old engineers, and funds their ideas over foreign NGOs. Because he knows Africa's future won't be imported. It will be downloaded, compiled, and uploaded by Africans themselves. Even the country's power grid is changing. Youth engineers are redesigning it using open-source energy tech, building microgrids that run entire villages on solar and wind, free from the colonial energy contracts of the past. And while critics scoff, others now whisper, is Burkina Faso about to become the Ghana of tech, or the Singapore of West Africa? But the youth don't care about titles. They care about freedom. Freedom to build, freedom to fail, freedom to try again, without asking anyone's permission. Because for them, the revolution isn't political, it's personal. It's about mothers finally using mobile apps to check medical appointments. It's about farmers checking market prices on phones made by their own sons. It's about kids dreaming of tech careers, not because of Hollywood, but because of Ouagadougou. And the message they send to the world, you didn't expect us, but you'll remember us. Because Burkina Faso is no longer asking for a seat at the table. It's building its own. And at that new table, they're not just building for Burkina Faso, they're collaborating with youth across Africa. From Mali to Chad, from Niger to Guinea, young minds are connecting via encrypted peer-to-peer networks, exchanging code, ideas, and vision outside the grasp of foreign surveillance or censorship. They call it the Pan-African Digital Union, a decentralized alliance of coders, developers, designers, and activists. No presidents, no borders, just a mission. Africa codes itself free. And it's not just talk. They've launched the continent's first open-source African programming language, one that reflects local logic, culture, and syntax. They're building offline internet kits for communities with no power, and even laying the groundwork for a blockchain-based voting system to ensure no election can ever be stolen again. The world is stunned. They thought Burkina Faso was a land of poverty and coups. Instead, it's becoming a lab of liberation. And behind it all is something far more powerful than any app or machine: belief. A belief that the past doesn't define the future, that the narrative of African helplessness is not just wrong, it's obsolete. President Traoré isn't the architect of this revolution. The youth are. He simply stepped aside and let them build. And what they're building isn't just code, it's confidence, it's competence, it's continuity. Because they know that when they control the code, they control the currency, the communication, the knowledge, everything. This is not the Africa the West expected. This is the Africa that was always possible, just waiting for the right generation to rise. And now, that generation is here. Now their eyes are on the stars, literally. A group of 19-year-old engineers in Ouagadougou just announced plans for Burkina Faso's first nanosatellite, designed to monitor climate change, crops, and water levels across the Sahel. They're calling it Wendpanga, meaning God of the Future in the local Mossi language. It's not just symbolism, it's sovereignty in orbit. And guess who's funding it? Not the IMF, not the World Bank, not China, but a crowd-funded effort, fueled by donations from farmers, teachers, and school children. Because everyone now believes they're part of something bigger, not just a country, but a movement. One where digital independence equals political independence, where data is no longer extracted like gold or oil, but protected like ancestral land. And while old regimes fight to hold on to outdated empires, Burkina Faso is quietly building a tech-powered utopia, one village server at a time. Foreign media still tries to paint it as a military state, but cameras don't lie. Children in school uniforms with AI tablets, elders using apps to schedule doctor visits, and farmers flying drones to monitor crops. This is no PR stunt. This is the real-time reprogramming of a nation. The youth don't wear suits. They wear passion, pride, and sometimes just flip-flops and dreams. But they're rewriting what it means to be African in the 21st century. And the world is finally watching. And perhaps the most powerful shift? They no longer seek permission. From world powers, from donors, from so-called allies. Those days are over. Today's Burkinabe youth are not asking to be included in someone else's future. They are designing their own. Hackathons are being hosted in solar-powered tents. Villages are holding community votes via secure mobile blockchain apps. Young women are leading robotics teams that outperform global competitors. And in underground makerspaces, they're 3D printing prosthetics for war victims, for free. This is tech as resistance, tech as healing, tech as hope. The government isn't watching over them, it's watching them in awe. President Traoré himself said, "We are not leading the youth are leading us." And that might be his greatest decision yet. Not a speech, not a battle, but simply to get out of the way. Because the youth of Burkina Faso have made one thing clear. They don't want a handout, they want a keyboard. They don't want sympathy, they want servers. They don't want to migrate, they want to build here. And build they are. This isn't just a revolution, it's a resurrection of confidence, creativity, and country. They are no longer the children of colonization. They are the coders of liberation. And now, the world is starting to feel it. Global tech forums that once ignored Africa are now sending delegates to Ouagadougou. Universities from Europe and the US are requesting partnerships. But the rules have changed. Burkina Faso no longer begs for validation. They offer collaboration, not submission. Their terms are clear: respect our culture, respect our code, respect our pace. And surprisingly, many are listening, because what's emerging isn't just an African success story, it's a model for the future. A future where development doesn't mean debt, where progress doesn't mean pollution, where power isn't centralized, but shared. Burkina Faso is proving that real revolution doesn't always come with guns or protests. Sometimes it comes with Wi-Fi, solar panels, and 17-year-olds with dreams. And what about the West? They're watching in disbelief. Because for the first time in a long time, Africa is exporting something more valuable than minerals. A vision. A vision where technology is not a tool of control, but a bridge to equality. A vision where the youngest continent on Earth leads the oldest empires into the digital age. And at the center of it all, Burkina Faso, not forgotten, not exploited, but rising. This is more than a tech story. It's a blueprint for the future. Like, share, and subscribe for more untold revolutions.